TikTok user 513. I'll remind TikTok user 513 to obey the terms of service and to tell me how old you are.
Yeah, I'm 27.
That's old enough. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just saw the prompt. I think it's kind of an interesting thought, so I was going to come up and chat about it.
Okay, what do you think about it?
I think it's kind of like you could probably put just about any politician's name at the top of it. I think that it would be accurate. I don't think that politicians are really in the business of like caring about individual people. I think that they're more for advancing policies that people support. So it's not really like a...
Well, the policies that most people support, ideally with an educated populace, are policies that are good for those people, correct?
Say that one more time.
You said that they go after, they try to pass policies that the people support. And I said that with an educated populace that understands what's good for them, ideally, those policies are going to be the ones that are good for those people's quality of life, right?
I mean, the qualification of educated populace and that being a prerequisite for them to know what policies are in their best interest, that's kind of a incredibly vague qualifier. So I would probably agree with you without that part of it.
Oh, okay. So you're getting to the point, you're getting to the problem here, which is that a lot of politicians don't actually support policies that are good for you, but they are the policies that their constituents think are going to be good for them, potentially because they're uneducated. Is that right?
I guess that you run that risk with literally any issue on any side.
Right. What I'm saying is that Trump is taking advantage of that by convincing his constituents that, say, for example, illegal immigrants are bad for the economy or bad for them or bad for their lives or whatever, when they are in fact not, because they're less dangerous than citizens, and the things that are happening to the economy that are bad for everyday Americans are caused by billionaires and corporations and the politicians that billionaires have bought, not illegal immigrants. He's doing that because he doesn't care about people. He knows that that's wrong. Trump knows that illegal immigrants aren't actually a big problem for everyday Americans. But he's using his constituents to get his policy positions because he doesn't care about them. He doesn't care about them, and he doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about anybody but himself.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably disagree with you, not really on the idea of the, well, let's think about this. I mean, yeah, I mean, I would really just disagree with you because if I believe what you believe, right, like if I agree with everything that you just said, then... I mean, you would essentially be making the case that the people who have the most authority, who are supposedly the highest educated and know what's best for everybody, they should basically impose their will on the rest of society. And if the rest of society, if 99% of people don't agree with the 1% of people who have the right idea, that those 99% of those people, their votes shouldn't count. They shouldn't be able to enact change within their own society. So I disagree with that.
That's not. Yeah, that's quite the straw man. I didn't say any of that. Which part of that did I say?
Well, it's kind of your insinuation. Like, for instance, if you say, like obviously, I can tell your stance on immigration or illegal immigrants, right?
Sure.
You're making a definitive claim that illegal immigration is good for the country no matter what.
No, that's not what I said. I said that illegal immigrants aren't dangerous or bad for the quality of life of Americans. I would say that illegal immigration is itself, like with no other factors involved, bad. I'd prefer for there to not be illegal immigrants, but I don't think that they're bad for the economy.
Well, so that is like literally like I want you to like kind of think about the claim that you're making. Okay.
Okay.
So there are literally hundreds, thousands of people. News stories, articles, reports that you can read where, for instance, and not for me personally, but for other people, they have had a negative experience potentially with an illegal immigrant. So you're just making the claim that because there's not a data point or a statistic that measures all of the crime and that rate isn't higher than the average American, you're basically just making the claim that anybody who kind of disagrees or thinks that illegal immigration is an issue is simply uneducated. And I would just patently disagree with that. I think that's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but you just said yourself that there hasn't been any study on how dangerous illegal immigrants are, but there has been, and they've been shown not to be as dangerous as citizens. So you are demonstrating that you're uneducated about how dangerous illegal immigrants are.
Yeah, let me ask you this. One, are studies absolute authority? And two, are there any studies that have ever been proven to be wrong decades later?
Sure. Yeah. Studies aren't perfect.
Okay. Now let me ask you this.
Perfect.
Okay. Now, as it relates to politics, right? Do you think that it's possible in any scenario that academic studies can potentially be biased or they can be swayed by politicians or political money?
So, I mean, I was with you mostly until the end there, but and there are studies that are, when you look at studies that are politically funded, they do tend to be bad on both sides. So the peer review system doesn't like that, doesn't work in that way. So if information comes out from somebody like the Heritage Foundation, which is like super right-leaning, nobody reasonably would trust them. In fact, a lot of the studies that I use on immigrant data are studies that actually come from right-leaning, but honest organizations that report the data as they see it. So even though the data doesn't support their argument, they still report it that way anyway. So we saw that with sorry, I have a resource for this that I can't remember off the top of my head. What? Cato.
Let me ask you this.
Institute. That's what I was looking for. Cato
sure.
Institute's a good
does the
example of that.
reputation or the political leaning of whoever's doing the study, does that give any true authority to what they're saying?
No, the methodology of the study does.
Okay, got it. And so
it's a red flag. It's like if I see that a study was run by an organization known to post bad information, I would say, ooh, red flag. We need to really scrutinize this. Or if I saw that they have a really strong political bias, I would say, okay, really got to look at this, which is something I do on the left as well. When somebody, when I don't take what liberals say at face value, certainly not the ones that talk on TV, because they often do take statistics out of context or make bad arguments.
Let me ask you this, for instance, okay, so let's say that you have a society, and let's say that it's not an economic argument, it's not a crime argument, but the people of this country say, we really don't want a lot of illegal immigration in the country. Like, we would prefer if we have a really, really good idea of who's here, and we know who they are. Like, for instance, so that's outside of economics, it's outside of crime. Is it an uneducated position to have that opinion?
No, and I think it is potentially a position I agree with, which is that it would be preferable for the illegal immigrants that are here to not be illegal immigrants.
That's not my argument at all.
Okay. You don't want them here. You want them deported is probably your argument, right?
No, I'm just asking you a theoretical. If a society, if a country, right, if the people of that country, they're not worried about the crime rates of the illegal immigrants, and they're not worried about the economic impact of immigrants or illegal immigrants, they just simply say, we really don't want any illegal immigrants, and we really are comfortable with like X amount of people coming in legally through the year, and we really want immigration to be something that is very vetted and
I'm with you on
probably
all this.
maybe smaller in size. So
I don't know about smaller. I think that especially with what's going on economically in America, that like the correct number of immigrants into America every year.
This would be an economics argument.
Yeah, you can't really like make like you made economic arguments in what you said by saying that people don't care about the economy or the crime rate or anything. So like I guess if those things didn't exist, what's your point? I'm not following. If I'm not allowed to talk about the economy and responding to your like. Sure, if the people voted in their democracy to not allow the illegal immigrants in, then like in a democracy, then the law of the land is to not let the illegal immigrants in. That's like a tautology. Absolutely. What's your point?
Yeah, so my point would be, if regardless of the politician's messaging as to why he thinks or why he's saying illegal immigration or immigration in general is bad, if there's a lot of people out there who just simply, their opinion is that we really don't want high immigration, we would prefer if we closed our borders and we don't do any immigration for X amount of time. And it's not an economic argument. It's not a crime argument. They just have that opinion. They just don't want people from other countries coming into the state.
They just don't like it. I understand your hypothetical. What's your question?
Sure. Yeah, so is that a point of view that you think, someone should be able to just overrule because it's a bad idea, or what do you think?
I don't think that applies to the current situation because you excluded a bunch of really important details that do apply to the current situation. But if somebody had really good reason to believe that those people were wrong and that getting what they say they want would be bad for them, that person might do something like go on TikTok Live and have a stream where they try to convince people that they're wrong about that, which is what I'm doing.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not asking like if you individually disagree with it. I'm asking like at a societal level, if the politician said, hey, 90% of people, they don't want immigration. And they have a variety, a litany of reasons. They don't want any more immigration. But for some reason or whatever reason, politicians, they want the immigration. So should they go against their 90% of their constituents, or should they act as their constituents who voted for them to vote?
Your methodology for looking at this issue generally doesn't really stand up to historical scrutiny, because there was a time in American history where you could make that argument for slavery. You could say that most people support slavery. Why would you go against it, even if it's probably good?
That's exactly correct. Yes.
Then what's your point?
Yeah. Okay. So how did slavery end?
Lincoln ended slavery as like a move in the Civil War. I don't even like to give him credit for doing it as a civil rights thing, because I think he did it as like a chess move in the war. I don't think he did it because he cared about black people. But what's your point?
Yeah, I mean my point. Well, I guess slavery is kind of a bad example because obviously it happens during the Civil War, so a lot of things.
Slavery is a terrible example. I brought up the reason slavery came up is because I said that your argument about immigration also works to support slavery. So you're right that it's bad. What's your point?
Yeah. Okay. So here's the really simple point. So one, we don't know, and we don't have any single person or organization who acts as complete authority on any issue, okay? Particularly as it relates to morality, right?
Well, actually, we do. There's a lot of areas where we do just let the experts handle it, and we don't really handle it democratically, and those are...
I said in terms of morality.
What do you mean in terms of morality? What does that mean?
Point me to the organization or the government official who is in charge of making sure that our policy and what we're going after is moral.
Well, so like the sort of the counter examples that I can give you is that we have things like the American Heart Association that like work to make sure that good policies are being used for heart health by cardiologists, and we don't handle that democratically because the public generally...
Not morality, though.
Whether or not people are getting good health care is a moral issue. Ethics is massively intertwined with medicine, and doctors have to work really hard to operate ethically, so you're just completely wrong about that. And what I'm saying is that's an example where we actually just trust the experts, because no, we don't vote on which type of interventions people get for which type of heart attacks. We let the experts handle that. So there's an example.
Okay. So we'll make this really simple. So if the experts on any issue, if they say we're the experts and this is what we should do, but let's say 99% of the general population disagrees with them, do you follow the experts, or does the country do what 99% of people want to do?
In a democracy, under most issues, we would do what the majority of people want. But so what people like me would argue, and what I do argue, is that if experts believe something, generally, if all the experts in a field believe something that goes against the public grain, historically, they tend to have a concern, because it's not immigration experts that are upset about immigration. It's not economists that are upset about what the immigrants are doing to the economy. It's not criminologists that are upset about all the crimes that illegals are committing. It's like hateful racist people who are known to be hateful and racist for other reasons. It's people like Trump, who has been sued successfully for being racist, who say those sorts of things. So if we actually were to talk to the experts about that sort of thing, we'd get to a better answer, which is what I am trying to urge people to do, which is why I sit here and talk to people and educate the public about what's going on, so that you can make better decisions. I'd say in that situation where 99% of the population is wrong and the experts are right about what's going on, that's an education issue. We need to say, okay, why does the public believe the people who aren't?
So, but what do you do? Right? Do you follow the 99% of people, or do you follow the experts? Just a definitive answer on what you do.
Well, that's not how I look at these issues. I need to look at what the experts are saying. I let the experts make a case. But if with no other,
let's assume that the experts have made their case, and they say, we need to do more immigration, and they lay out their reasons. And let's say 99% of people, they read what the experts say, and they say, I still disagree. I don't want it to happen. So you have 99% of people, they openly and flatly
the only
disagree
caveat
with
I'll put on my answer is that if we're to assume that I recognize the authority of these experts, so for example, in my cardiology example, it's if these are medical doctors that went to school for it and are practicing, they do heart surgeries and work with cardiac patients, assuming that they are experts who can show that they're good at their field, I would trust the experts with no other information, because the public's often very wrong about issues that experts understand well.
Sure. And I was going to get to this anyway, but I see people in the comments asking me, what is this insane hypothetical?
I don't actually get your point. Where are we going with this?
Yeah, the hypothetical, it's it's actually pretty relevant because the society that we live in today, right? Any issue that's going to be politicized, right? That's going to be people are going to vote on it or it's in the public eye. There's always going to be, according to the government, for instance, some kind of expert that they rely on. Okay, and then that expert, they're going to take one side of it. Okay, typically you can find other experts who maybe disagree with them. Like, for instance, in science, it's very, very, very rare on any of the current issues that are going around that there is a true, actual 100% consensus, right?
Yeah,
because science is always evolving and we don't know the answer 100%.
Is almost never the burden. Because, like, so for example, if you look at the number of doctors that think that vaccines don't cause autism, it's not 100%. There's a very noteworthy example of a person who had their medical license revoked for saying otherwise. So, like, no, you're not going to get 100%, even though it's obviously true that there's no connection between autism and vaccines. So, like, no, but again, that's just not the burden. If a Democrat or a Republican came out and said, here, eat this White House sponsored product, it's good for your heart health, and then all the heart doctors said, no, it's not, no, don't eat that, that's too salty, it's bad, it's so much cholesterol, very bad for your heart, do not listen to this advice from the White House, people would hopefully listen to the doctors, regardless of which politician was peddling, I don't know, American mayonnaise or whatever they were selling.
Sure. Yeah. And I saw a comment who mentioned Fauci, and I think that that's obviously a really good segue. So, like, for instance, with COVID, right?
I still don't understand your main point. Like, what is it about what are you trying to argue to me?
Well, the main point is that you can either choose one of two options, okay? You either believe in democracy or you believe in trusting the experts.
It's
one of the two.
That's not I don't accept your dichotomy. Can I respond?
Well, I mean, I can kind of explain it a little bit. Like, for instance, if you believe in democracy, then what you believe is that people should vote, and whichever side gets the most support, that is what society should do. And that's kind of the contract of society. So sometimes you'll think,
and sometimes society is wrong. I'm going to jump in and respond. Sometimes society is wrong. And what I'm saying is that it is better for society to get educated about what is right and make a better decision in the voting booth than to just overthrow democracy to do what you think is right. Overthrowing democracy to do what you think is right is bad. So when it comes back to, like, slavery, like, I don't think that we should have just thrown away the Constitution to do away with slavery, because that would have been one solution, to, like, overthrow the country, write a new Constitution, and take over. No, I think the abolitionist movement, where we spread knowledge about how slavery is bad and got more and more people to support the abolition of slavery to the point where we now live in a country where almost nobody supports slavery, that's better. That's how a democracy develops. We get better education from, educators and activists and experts. I like to consider myself one of them. I'm an activist. I sit on here and do this, right? When people don't understand the statistics about immigration that the experts are telling them that the politicians are ignoring, I am doing the footwork of talking to people and actually correcting these things.
Got it. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
When you say, like, you're an activist and so you read into the data and the experts, so let me ask you, do you think, for instance, in what you're doing, that really what it is there's this general population of people who really have no knowledge on the topic, and they just have this opinion, right? Maybe it's a hateful opinion, whatever. And you think that basically what you're doing is you're going to specific reports or experts that you like and that you trust, and you're using their data to convince people who really don't have any information, who aren't doing any independent research, or like they're not really spending any time looking at the issues. They just have this opinion that is based on nothing. You're just trying to get the information that you find convincing to other people so that they'll be convinced like you are, and then everybody will be educated and all agree on something.
So, I mean, I think that the part of your characterization of what I'm doing that I would disagree with is that I'm not urging people to just look at the sorts of things that I believe in. I'm not preaching my particular sources or my experts. I think that people should just get better at information literacy. That's what would save America. If I could fix one thing about the mindset of every voting American, it would be like, yeah, I would love to teach these people how to research. I'd love to teach these people how to look up a good source.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because this kind of goes to the authority and the experts, for instance. Why do you think it is that in different countries, like, for instance, the EU and the United States, right? You brought up vaccines earlier. why do you think it is that the U.S., the people who are involved in the vaccine and the experts in the FDA and the pharmaceutical companies, they say these are totally safe. There's no downsides to these at all.
That's not what they say.
Or they say there's not any downsides that are worth you not taking the vaccine.
To clarify, what they say is that there aren't downsides that are at all unusual for vaccines, because there are some risks with vaccines, and there's nothing special about the COVID vaccines. Like normal vaccines that everybody take have greater risks of like blood clots and things than COVID vaccines. So like that's what they say.
Okay. So why do you think it is, for instance, that we live in a world where like would you agree that that Europe, they are advanced? They have like a similar level of like first world medical technology experts, all that stuff. Do you agree that they're on the same level as the United States?
Many European countries rank more highly at those sorts of things than the United States. Yeah.
Okay. So why would their vaccine schedule be so grossly different than the United States?
So when we have a situation like the COVID-19 pandemic, where the
not just COVID, just all of their vaccines, they have a much smaller vaccine schedule, like by probably dozens of shots. So why do you think it is that those countries have different standards?
I can answer generally. When you talk about vaccine schedules, you're talking about like the process of getting a vaccine approved, right?
No, I'm talking about what the government mandates or suggests in terms of the vaccines that people should get when they're born and in their early adulthood.
Because the effect that a vaccine has on an individual is not the only factor in deciding what the vaccine schedule should be. If it was, then we would expect the vaccine schedule to be the same everywhere. But that's not the only thing that makes a difference in terms of how big a societal difference a vaccine will make. So, for example, let me put it this way: if I'm just going to make up a country, right? Like we're going to work outside of the examples that we actually have in real life. So hopefully you can understand the point. It's that if we have two countries, they both get delivered the same vaccine, and in one country they have a really, really, really big population, and that population is very cooperative. They're doing social distancing very well. They're doing mask rates are really good. Like the actual spread rate that they're experiencing isn't as bad. And then you have another country with a smaller population, maybe half the size, not like dramatically smaller, but like slightly smaller population, but less cooperative. People are refusing to wear masks. People aren't social distancing. The spread rates are much worse. It might be reasonable to say that we should put more vaccine into this country with a smaller population with a tighter vaccine schedule than in the cooperative country, because it takes a less tight vaccine schedule in the cooperative country to do the same amount of good that it would do in the country where people aren't cooperating.
So that is, you kind of went back to the COVID-19 thing. I'm not asking about that.
I just gave a universal example about vaccine schedules, and you tied it to the COVID.
Well, no, you gave me an example of something that's similar to COVID. So there's like an outbreak, and then you have a vaccine, and you're trying to fix the problem.
Any measure though,
just let me finish, and then you can respond.
Okay.
Why do you think it would be that pre-COVID? Okay, before COVID, right? So we're just talking about vaccine schedule in general. Okay.
Okay.
So there's not an outbreak. People are not resisting vaccines.
So take my example and just apply it to the flu, like the common
well,
flu.
that's not. Again, you're trying to like. I'm trying to ask you a very specific question,
okay.
And you keep kind of going back to a different question.
Okay, what's the question? I'm not understanding.
Okay, so why do you think it is that after all of the medical research on all of the vaccines, why do you think, for instance, in Europe, where they take vaccines, they're just like Americans, they'll take vaccines, they'll listen to medical advice. Why do you think it is that the high-level agencies and the scientists and all of the people in Europe, they in their opinion, it is not worthy, or it's not a good idea to recommend some of the vaccines that the United States they mandate and they say we should be doing?
I mean, I need a source. If you're saying that Europe doesn't use vaccines that the U.S. does, I mean, they have different approval processes because they don't trust the approval.
Okay, let me ask you: do you think that the vaccine schedule in Europe is the exact same as North America?
I'm not familiar. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was different for the reasons I've explained.
Okay, so, okay. All right.
It just isn't alarming to me if it's different. They're different countries. They have different socioeconomics. They have different like demographics and data. Like their spread rates are going to be massively different. So like the guidance around these sorts of things is going to be different, unique to their case.
I mean, again, it's not really an answer to what I'm asking, though.
Then I don't understand.
Just being honest with you, it's not really an answer.
What is your question?
Yeah, well, I mean, the answer to the question is that the experts there is some kind of disagreement, obviously. If the experts in the United States say, our vaccine program is the best, and we recommend it for our country, and the science supports it, right?
Okay.
And everybody else, they can do their own science, and when they do their science, for some reason, their science, they go, this is not as convincing, and we're not going to recommend this to our public. We're not going to mandate
That's not the conclusion from seeing that two countries have different vaccine schedules. What the scientists in those countries are doing the same thing, because you said it yourself just a second ago when you said that the American scientists came up with their schedule studying their country. That's the different factor. What's the vaccine schedule for Norway versus the United States? I bet the correct answer, the best public guidance that's going to do the most good, is probably just different for those two countries. The United States is big enough, I could imagine it being different state to state. Whether you live in a big city or a small town, like we could get really particular with it. We don't happen to, but the different. Like if you're working with a different population, the guidance might be different. That's not a failure of science. That's not the two scientists in the two different countries being differently qualified at their job. What I would suggest is that if you took those two scientists and switch which country they were doing their study on, they would switch their answers to the correct answer for that country. What is your point?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, again, I don't think that you're actually kind of getting what I'm kind of going toward.
I'm
right?
really not.
I don't think you're really getting there.
I'm not. I totally am not understanding exactly what it is.
Okay, I'll give you an easier example. Okay, the rest of the world, for instance, a lot of the rest of the world, they actually outlaw importing food from America because of the ingredients and the chemicals that are in the food. Do you agree with that or not?
I'm not educated on that, but I would believe you if that's true. We use some preservatives and stuff that a lot of the world considers to be pretty barbaric.
Okay, so the U.S., right, some of the stuff that they allow to go into food, right, their scientists have said this stuff is totally fine. We should put it in the food supply, and it's not an issue.
Well, the scientists agree about which foods are better. No, but you're wrong. It's not scientists who decide what's allowed in food. It's the FDA. It's a political issue. So the idea.
Okay, got it. So vaccines are a political issue.
Unfortunately, yes.
Thank you. Perfect. Awesome. There it is. Awesome.
Yeah, dude, the president saying that people don't need to get vaccinated when they really should get vaccinated is a political issue, and that's bad. It's also a really outdated political issue. What is your point? I don't know what you're trying to argue, and I don't know what we disagree about.
Well, let's I mean, with the food, before you cut me off, the point is very simple. It all, in terms of what is mandated or what's recommended by the authority of the country, which would be the politicians and the government, right? Every decision that they make is potentially political, okay?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I say that people can't stay out of politics.
Okay,
everything is politics. You're stuck living on Earth.
Okay.
We do
all right,
politics
yes,
here.
I get that, right? I just said that.
Okay, I'm just not getting what your point is, dude.
Okay, I mean, it's just kind of incredible that you don't see how that. Okay, so if the U.S., right, let's say it is political, but let's try and get a little bit deeper than that. Okay, so it's somehow political, but the rest of the world, or Europe at least, they say what's in that food is actually it's damaging to people. It's hurting people. And we have scientific studies. Let's say that they say we have scientific studies that show that this stuff does bad things to humans, right?
Okay.
So why would the U.S., if they're the authority on medicine and they're highly advanced and you can always trust the experts in the U.S., why would the experts that everybody trusts in the U.S., why would they go on camera and advocate for some of the things that are in the food that the rest of the world says is very dangerous?
You're making up a scenario where the American experts disagree unilaterally with international experts. That's not the case on any issue that scientists address.
I didn't say that I didn't say every scientist. I said that the experts who are in the places of authority in America, they say that their policy is correct, obviously.
But we don't elect scientists. We elect politicians.
Yeah, I understand.
And we hope that we elect politicians that respect the scientists and believe what they say. But that often isn't the case, and that's a problem. But but in your hypothetical, all of the American experts disagree with the international experts, and that just isn't a paradigm that we actually see. If we look at something like COVID, where matters of policy
that's false. That's obviously false. I just gave you a real life example of that being false on a massive scale, and you are not even acknowledging that that's real.
Which example?
The food.
which experts disagree with the international experts on food safety?
All of the experts that the EU relies on for their food policy.
Right. They have better food policy than we do because they listen to their experts more. What is your point?
All right. So in the U.S., for instance,
we don't listen. Wait. Broad spectrum. Here's the issue. In the U.S.,
you're seeing where this is going, and you're trying to get away from it.
I'm hoping I understand your point because I don't know why we've been talking for 30 minutes. Like I don't even know what you're trying to argue. But I will say that in the United States we have a problem where our politics often. Oh, he left. Okay. Yeah, literally, Bear Pro in the chat, you literally took the words out of my mouth. I was about to say, the problem that we have in America is that we don't listen to our experts. The experts here and the experts in Europe say the same thing. In Europe, they listen to their experts more, so their policy better reflects what the experts think, and that just isn't the case here. So he left. Do I post that, right? Like, everybody wants me to post all the conversations so I can't be caught taking people out of context, but, like, 30 minutes of that guy, is that something that somebody's going to listen to in a setting other than a live setting? I don't think so. And I saw some people in the chat saying that he's a regular and I should have been more aggressive with him. But I also just got to watch it because if I get aggressive with him, people say that I'm being aggressive with him, and I don't know. I'm learning my own way to do the debates. I'm just going to hang out for a minute. I don't think I'm going to take another caller because it is past 1 p.m. It's 1:06 and I got to be at work at 3:30 today. So I'll take a moment to thank everybody and talk to the chat for a moment. So if you got questions for me, or if you want to hop up as a friendly, now's the time, because I don't do it when I'm trying to get viewers. You were just having a discussion. Sheesh. Yeah, I mean, up, down, trader, I know has been difficult the whole time, but I don't really understand what he's saying by saying you were just having a discussion. Sheesh. Well, I don't really know what the discussion was about. Like, what was that guy's argument? Like I actually don't know what it is that I don't believe that guy believed, or vice versa. Like, what was he trying to convince me of? He kept on really, it felt to me like he was really conflating the idea of like, well, the experts in America think this because the policy's that. And it's like, no, dude, you don't understand American politics at all if you think that our policy being something means that that's what the experts think. That's the problem. There are a lot of domains in which if our policy better follows what the experts say, the academics, the people who work at universities or like scientific institutions, like the literal scientists that study these things, if we follow what they think, the thing gets better. That's true with food safety. That's true with education. That's true with immigration policy, as much as people don't like to admit it. So yeah, up down trader says that he shouldn't have ran, and I know that up down trader probably doesn't agree with me, but I'm glad that we can agree that guy didn't make himself look any better by running away. Benefit of the doubt, maybe his phone died. He did just drop randomly. Not one politician cares about people. What's your point? I disagree. I think tons of politicians like really do care about like whether you agree with their policies or not. I think that there's like a short list of like Democratic leaders in this country that are actually really care about people, and you're gonna hate the list. It includes such people as AOC and Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden for that. Like, I wasn't super happy with Joe Biden as a president, but Joe Biden's a patriot. He wants America to be better. He wants people to do well. Like, that's. I don't think he was trying to be president for personal gain. I think he just wanted to. I think for the second term he was worried that throwing another candidate in there's like bad. It's easier to win with an incumbent president, and he weighed that badly against his likelihood to succeed given his age, which sucks. And I'm mad at him about that because he shouldn't have run. But like, I do think he like was trying to run for American people, for American values. You think Trump doesn't want America to do good? I don't think he gives a shit, dude. I think he just does. I think he doesn't want to be in prison. I think he wants to live as long as he's going to live and not go to prison. And he's literally willing to start World War III if it gets him closer to that goal. No, I don't think he cares about you. I don't think he cares that you're, like if the guy denied food benefits for children to like make a point. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, up, down, trader says, I believe all presidents want better for our country, but just have different ideas how. Yeah, I just don't think that's true of Trump. I don't think that anything that he's doing is trying to make America better. I think he's trying to make America better for him and his friends, his family, his immediate, his cronies. LOL, this guy's telling me Trump doesn't care, you think? I don't understand that comment. He is working for himself. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, but where's the stimulus check? Good question. 8666666 says, thinking is thinking. Yeah, okay. Well, what I'm saying is that like my assessment of the situation is that he doesn't care. He's not behaving in the way that somebody who does care does. And you should call into one of my lives if you disagree. But I'm done for the day, so I am going to sign off. Go to the link tree in my bio and follow me on the other platforms. That's a way to support me that doesn't cost anything, and I'd appreciate that because I'm trying to get to 10K subscribers on Instagram. 10K followers. That'll be good for me. Appreciate the follow, Bear Pro, but you came in at the last minute, so welcome, and I'll see you another time. Mama Avery, thank you so much for the moderation. You know I appreciate you because I cannot pay attention to my chat while I'm yapping away with these Trump supporters. I'm gonna let Mime have the last word. He has not done anything to help any of us. Yep. You guys have a good one.